Hello, everyone. It's been a minute, but welcome to Urban Renal Talk with Tamika.
And Steve, welcome everyone. What's going on, Tamika? Where
Going
you
on, bro?
been? Where you been?
I've been relaxing.
Yeah, I've been trying to do the
Like,
same thing as well.
yeah, it's been relaxing. Just trying to get back balance. Sometimes when you give too much of yourself, you kind of lose the balance in life. And I think sometimes with doing the shows and you kind of lose your balance.
Yeah. I definitely lost my balance. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, like
I lost it all the way.
yeah, and just going through life's ups and downs, you can't always be there when you aren't able to be there for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think this was a good little break.
Yeah.
And we coming back with great topics and in a different format.
Mhm.
So I look forward to 2020 as well.
Yes, 2020 is going to be so exciting for all of us here. Our shows will be a little different. There'll be themes and topics. Like next week, topic is going to be on sex, dating, and dialysis. So if anyone would like to be a guest on this show, please contact us.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. A lot of these topics that we're going to be discussing are topics that happen every day
Mhm.
across dialysis clinics that you don't hear about. Not just clinics, but in people who deal with this disease lives. So we want to talk about it, talk about the education part of it, and if people are dealing with it, how they can work through it to live a better quality life.
Yes. So
Mhm.
I'm so excited. I'm excited about what tonight, our topic tonight, what it has.
Yeah, to make it, that's crazy. Um, Someone gets someone else's kidney, but it's not like that. It's someone got placed to the top over someone else. Someone was in line and then they got bumped and they got that kidney and miraculously it worked. But we got two people with us tonight and we're going to have a discussion about this and how could this happen. We got Jared Brown, host from the Warriors Quest, and Manny Ramirez, transplant recipient out of Houston, Texas. So let's bring both of these gentlemen in and get this going. You got Jared Brown, host of the Warriors Quest. What's going on, Jared?
Boom, boom, boom. This is Jared, and I'm back.
Hey, Jared, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Hey,
And
thanks
there's
for
all
having me, man. I'm excited
Manny
to be on.
Ramirez. What's going on, Manny?
Hi,
What's
man.
going on? How you
How's
doing?
everything?
All right, everything's good. Hot in
Yeah,
Houston.
yeah. That's a good thing for you.
Yeah,
We over here I know Jared is in Utah. I'm sure it's cold out there, and it's definitely
very
cold
cool.
here in
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. and Philly.
Yeah, it's cold here. It's cold.
I
That's
don't
not
envy you guys.
what
hmm So Jared, let's get right to it. Um, you're a host of Warriors Quest, where you talk with individuals every week who are looking for a kidney donor.
Uh-huh.
Now, this situation that happened here in Camden, New Jersey, how do you think if a person that you interviewed on Warriors Quest that happened to them, what do you think the impact would be on that?
Well, I personally think that they would be extremely dejected. I mean, and I couldn't blame them for feeling that way. I mean, I can imagine that they would feel extremely, you know, uh, they'd feel like they were shafted in some way, if you know what I mean. Like, that they should have been that person that may have been picked, but because it was a mix-up, it could have mixed up the whole list, especially if they're in and around that area. So like, for example, I think it's New Jersey, right? So if we had, if I'm advocating for somebody who's trying to find a kidney transplant, who's on the transplant list rather in that area, then they would naturally be concerned that perhaps they're going to be somewhat, they're going to be on the list and it's going to be kind of mess up that list. I mean, how does that work? And that's my concern, is that if they mixed up and put someone there, and then they put the wrong person there, then a week ago, from what I understand, or less than a week after that, they gave the person who was supposed to have the transplant a kidney. So how does that work with the list? Is that fair to the other people that, are waiting?
Right. Well, let me read this excerpt from the New York Post. A New Jersey patient was accidentally put at the top of a transplant list and received a kidney meant for someone else who happened to have the same name.
Right. Similar age, yes.
Yeah, miraculously, the patient was also a match for the misdirected organ, and the intended recipient also wound up getting a kidney in the end. So, Manny, you had a transplant. If this happened to you, how would you feel at that moment? If you found, because the only way they found out, because the clinical person reported it the next day, and they informed both people. But if you were in that situation, how would you feel?
Well, as a recipient, I'd be praising and saying, "Thank God I got a kidney." As a recipient, and then thank God they found another one. I was the kidney I received. It was not on the list. The one I got, it was I allocated it. I was chosen to get it. A lady passed away, and my friend called me. It was her sister-in-law, and a designated donor is what it was. I was given the donation from a friend who passed away. So if that had been given to me, my name is Manuel Ramirez. In the Hispanic community, that is a popular name, just as John Smith. So it could have happened here in Houston. It's unfortunate for the patient and the families, but if you look at it from the other side, I wasn't sure that the other dude needed a kidney, or the other patient needed a kidney, but I'm sure they were like, "Hey, hallelujah, I got a kidney," and it was a match. So who am I to say anything about? That's how things work sometimes, where we don't understand it. But if it were to happen and someone, whenever you do the matches, you understand, like everybody else does, with all the antibodies and the blood type and all that stuff have to match up. So for it to match up for this dude to live, thank God they found another kidney for the other person.
Amen to that. Thank God that even though it was a mix-up, that it didn't have adverse effects on the person that got the transplant, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's because it was a match. Now, the thing that concerns me is how fast that other person got the kidney.
You're right. And that's why I brought up that question. You know what I mean?
Because where did they get the kidney from? Did they move someone else out the way to give this person a kidney?
That's the same, that's the same thinking I had, Tamika, is that how does that work with the list? If they move that person up, and they thought we made a mistake, so we're putting this person higher on the list, then how does that work with the other people that had been waiting already? You know what I mean?
Right. And also, Jared, is that lawsuit still valid now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if what they did made up for everything, because the person that missed out on the kidney and didn't get called the first time, they compensated and got the kidney, so now it's all good. I don't know how that's moving forward.
Right. I would love to interview both of them. I think that'll be an awesome interview.
Yeah.
But I do understand where Manny's thinking, because where my faith is that I'm thinking, okay, yes, certainly it's a mistake, and people make mistakes, even in hospitals, because humans are working in hospitals, even doctors make mistakes. But it be, but praise God that because of the mistake, okay, that somehow things have still worked out relatively well. Because
Right.
honestly, even though it was a match, Tamika, aren't there still cases where even though you're a match, that because of antibodies, it may not be a perfect match anyway, because your antibodies may not match even though you're the right blood type.
But
And that's
did you know, Jared? These mistakes, especially when you're dealing with something delicate like this, it can't be no room for error. Um, I can recall back some years ago, if you can remember, where someone's kidney got thrown away in the trash. Do you remember that story,
oh my gosh.
Tamika?
No, that's
Wow.
devastating.
Yeah, by mistake. By mistake.
Hmm.
The nurse threw it in the trash by mistake.
Oh my
How the
gosh.
hell I'm sorry, how do you make a mistake?
How does that happen?
That's not like throwing a cookie in the trash. Like,
Yeah,
cookie.
You're
yeah.
right. It's not like, hey, are you going to eat the rest of that? No. Okay, well, I'm just going to put it in the garbage.
No, but the point is that this can happen to anyone. I
Mhm.
mean, there's many people on the transplant list, and Jared, it just goes back to say, how does that affect the other people
Right.
waiting for a
Absolutely.
transplant
Yeah.
with this mishap
Mhm.
that's happened? Because, like Tamika said, how did they get the other kidney
So
so
fast.
fast?
Yeah.
Right. If the waiting list is what they say, and see, this is where I say the waiting list to me is bullshit. I'm sorry. But the simple fact is, rich people are able to get these kidneys so quick.
Right. Like
And poor
People
people,
celebrities.
it
yeah,
takes longer for them to get the kidney. So this person in Camden all of a sudden was able to get this kidney because of a mix-up. Is it more kidneys available than what
Well,
they say are?
if you look at the date that it happened, what is like the end of November.
Yeah, a week later.
Unfortunately, that's when a lot of accidents happen on the road
Holiday.
from
You're right.
Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
So where
You're
do they
right.
come from? The kidneys come from, and organs come from accidents, right? Most of them come from car accidents, motorcycle accidents, whatever.
Yeah.
So look at the
yeah.
time.
But for it to be
Oh,
a
Yeah.
match,
people.
before it to be a match, both of them to be a match like that,
Mhm.
is well, we don't know now what's happening. We just going by what the hospital say, but we don't know like if they having any acute rejection episodes or whatever, because we're not there to witness that. But
Right. And also, they still have to follow protocol of who's next on the list.
Yeah, and this was Uno's. I mean, that's what I was on. I was on Uno's on their
Right.
list.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And there's multiple lists as well. So if they trade, I'm sure they trade for these things just like we trade for business cards.
Mhm.
But it's just people's organs, and I mean, I don't understand how it works totally, but I could only imagine. I mean, when you get to big pharma, how they do that kind of stuff, and their numbers, I believe hospitals' numbers as far as statistics and their rates, like their approvals and everything and rejections,
Uh-huh.
matter just as much as their bills and their income coming in. So
Right.
I know they're not going to let that kidney reject, because that's going to affect their rating on the UNOS list for the next one coming up. So they have to fight it and help that person from getting rejected. Like me, I've gone through 2 rejections already, and Herman Hospital is not going to let me die from a rejection. I'm about to
right.
celebrate 2 years of my journey on the 9th. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
constantly, yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. So I'm constantly, doing blood work to make sure. But yeah, I bet there's just, we'll never know. Honestly, we'll never know. But
Hmm.
um, I believe that God had a thing to do with this. Even though man sees a mistake, You know, ultimately, I think it was all in control. You know, and thankfully that people are surviving right now because of a mistake. You know,
Oh yes.
so
Yeah,
and there's gonna be more mistakes. Honestly, there's gonna be more mistakes. There there will be more mistakes.
you're right. You're
You know,
absolutely right. To err is human.
It
Hey,
is.
Jed, what are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jared.
Okay, you can?
Okay, he went blank on my screen and I can't hear him.
All right, but you can hear me, Tamika?
I can hear
yeah,
you, Jared.
I can
Okay.
see everybody, hear everybody too.
All right.
Yeah, this
So,
is something that we know that sometimes happens behind
oh,
the
I hear
scene,
you.
Manny,
So did my
with
screen
this
go
B
black?
live.
Did it go black?
No,
No, Jared, I can see you. Steve,
Okay,
can
that's
Okay.
good.
you
You
see
don't
All
Jared?
have to
right.
be my eyes and ears for me.
Okay.
It's a glitch that sometimes happens. It's
So, Jared,
unfortunate, but
um, have you had any guests on your show that had any mishaps? Not
um
to this magnitude, but anything they share with you during Warriors Quest?
I don't know that I've ever had anybody have this sort of mistake happen to this magnitude, as you put it. But you know, I've had kidney warriors explain that they've had some things happen. So my question, though, for Manny and Tamika, with this having had with this, you know, because this happened, okay, how does this adversely affect the hospital as far as ratings go? You know, aren't they ranked, you know, amongst other hospitals or something?
hmm
Well, I think it would have effect on them. I'm not as sure as far as the ratings, but I know how they now check for to see who gets the kidney. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think when they have the same name, they'll do a different protocol.
Okay.
They'll look at the medical record number, the date of birth, and the person name, not just asking the patient what's their name.
Okay.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what got me.
That
I didn't
makes
understand
sense.
how they didn't ask for the date of birth. Every time they walk into my room,
Right.
they ask me, "What's your name? What's your date of birth?" You know, and they look at your band on your
Right.
arm.
I
Right.
So,
know. I mean,
but
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
Somebody dropped the ball.
yeah,
mhm.
Someone didn't follow policy
it,
and procedure.
right.
yeah,
It's negligence.
Yeah.
Okay. In some way, it was
And this
negligence.
this can
Where,
happen to anyone,
hmm
But you know what?
unfortunately.
Remember, Steve, when they used to do the dialyzers with Renal and formaldehyde, this happened often.
Oh
You know,
yeah, and
someone on
dialysis,
the
we had patients who had the same, uh, maybe the same last name and the same first initial.
mm-hmm.
So somebody may have Larry Smith, and other name may be Lamar Smith,
oh,
and
okay.
oh,
you can easily just grab Larry instead of Lamar,
hmm
and boom, you don't realize it until you making those rounds and you checking, or to make it when they doing the shifts check or
Mm-hmm.
checking the dialyzer.
They
But
never
sometimes when you rushing and you're trying to put on your patients, you're not trying to leave from where you at just to go sign. You know how that works.
Yep. So deep.
So it's a good thing they don't do reuse anymore.
Especially the way that the turnovers are today. No, I'm
Yeah.
going to do reuse.
mm.
Wow. So if anybody's watching this live broadcast and you had any mishaps being on the transplant list, I mean, I'm sure other than people getting called and being on high alert and then getting a call saying that, um, the kidney went to someone else, sometimes that has to make you wonder, is that really happening?
Right. Or if they say, oh, the kidney wasn't compatible, sorry, the kidney wasn't compatible, did they give it to someone else?
Right. That's a great question, Tamika.
What do you think, Manny?
That's a great question. I mean,
It is.
you know, yeah, I don't know the age of these people, or maybe the person that's waiting for the kidney, but the person waiting for the kid, waiting for the phone call. If they got a phone call and said, "Hey, it's not a match," um, or it's not compatible, then they'll give it to the other person. So I mean, I'm in these groups. I'm sure like you guys are on Facebook where people. I got the call, or they'll say I got a
Right.
call.
Uh-huh.
It's a maybe, and then oh, it didn't go through. Well,
Right.
who knows if that was a similar case where it didn't go through, you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's man, I'm sure it's I see both sides of the coin, you know. So I see it as a blessing for some, and I'm sure it's who knows if the domino effect is settled already, or if it's still, tilting and knocking over other people off the list. I have no idea. I mean, I hope not. I hope it was meant to be, and it is what it is, you know.
Right. Right. I hope that's the case too, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes they knock people off of the list to put the people that they want on the list so they can get a kidney. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Well,
unfair.
that's one. When I heard you say that too. I mean, I know people like Lamar Odom. I know he needed a kidney right away. And he's a celebrity. How did that happen? How did he get a kidney? I mean, these guys have a platform that we don't. That I don't have a platform. Yeah, I got friends that are on the waiting list, and they beg and plead to be a match with somebody, or for me to go up and try to be a match. But someone like with celebrity status, like Selena Gomez, her best friend did it for her.
Right. Right.
That was her
a
best
living
friend that
kidney donor.
that,
Right.
that stepped up.
Uh-huh.
But then you got people like
Didn't George Lopez get a
that
kidney
was
as
from
well?
his wife. His wife
His
was a
wife.
match, and then
Okay.
he got divorced. Then he divorced her, which was weird.
Right.
My
You
God.
know, but there's a lot of people right there. Even Stevie Wonder. I mean, he needed a kidney or needs a kidney.
Uh-huh.
And Tina
Tina
Turner,
Turner.
her husband. There's celebrity status out there, but they're on a different platform. And fortunately for Tina Turner, it was her husband. I believe
Nick
that was a match.
Cannon.
Uh-huh.
And then Stevie Wonder. I don't know. I think he has a match, and it's like I think it was in November. Actually, just passed up.
Okay.
So I don't know. I can't believe in my heart. I can't believe that because they're celebrity that Unos or somebody would put them on the top. I have to
I'd
reject
hope
that
not.
idea.
So
Yeah, I'd
I
you
have
hope
to.
not.
so you don't believe money talks?
No, I don't. I think doctors have an ethic. Honestly, I believe I have to believe that doctors have some kind of ethics. I don't think money talks in that world, not in the donation world. I don't think. And I know that's a big thing, but I don't think that. I mean, that's how I believe.
Yeah, so we had someone that commented on the feed, Carolyn O'Corley. She said that's why when they call the patients, they have a primary and a backup just in case the labs of the primary is off.
Mm,
Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So,
So
Jed, what you think?
well, I think that some of the people that are waiting for transplants, and if they feel like they're on the backup list, or if they've gotten the call and they've heard about the same thing happening, I mean, I think they would probably ask themselves, has this ever happened? But the news just didn't get out. I mean, that begs the question: has it? Again, Manny, I think that because of the Hippocratic oath that they do, they I choose to believe that doctors will choose morally the right thing to do,
Yeah,
but I don't know that hospitals always do that. The
that's
doctors,
true. That's true.
yes,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
is this possible that it's ever happened? But maybe it's just been covered up, and they've just chosen somebody else, and that I don't know. But it is very frustrating if I put myself in somebody's shoes where I'm trying to think, and imagine that I'm somebody who's waiting for a transplant. I can understand how that would be very, very frustrating.
Hmm.
But on the, if I flip the coin, I also try to look at it and say, you know what, this is a larger scale and it has a bigger magnitude, but mistakes do happen. And it does seem as though the hospital did try to make this up. So the way that the way we need to kind of dissect this, so to speak, with the microscope is we just need to find out, okay, did they do enough to compensate for for the mistake they did? That's my question.
Well, I think with the other person receiving the kidney, they did. I could see if he didn't or whomever didn't get the
Is
kidney,
still waiting, yeah.
still waiting, then no. But since they did get the kidney, I think justice was served.
Hmm.
It's better now.
Hmm.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I said I hope the domino effect is stopped or whatever. And unfortunately, the timeline again. When you look at the accidents that occur during Thanksgiving from all that travel back and forth, there who knows, there may have been a surplus of donors, that weekend or that week,
Right.
unfortunately. And the whole process with the antibodies and everything, it's a complex process, to do all that. So now, for one, I've had my antibodies wiped. That's a crazy process. So for them to do that and still be okay, the recipients, that's it's awesome. So hopefully it's okay. I mean, I'm the guy that believes that things work out in the end. You
Right.
know,
But Tamika, now check this out though. I mean, it's almost like you don't have a choice here to a certain degree because this hospital, Virtual Our Lady of Lourdes in Camden, is the only facility in southern New Jersey that performs kidney, liver, and pancreas transplants. So it okay, this happened, big incident like this, and it's almost like it's going to be, I don't want to say swept away, but you're not going to hear about it no more because it's not like you could go somewhere else and get a transplant because you don't have no other choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's in a big city where you had 2 or 3 hospitals to choose from.
like mine,
Right.
yeah.
So that happened. Okay. If somebody on a kidney transplant list and they in southern New Jersey and they hear about that, it's not like they're going to say, oh, I'm not going to go to Our Lady of Lourdes because they did this. They ain't got no other choice to go to.
Right. Or their
Yeah.
other choice would be to come to Philadelphia. There'll
Well,
be another.
yeah, but I
No,
mean,
Steve, they would have to go to Jefferson because Hahnemann is closed.
Yeah.
no, but this
Right.
is southern New Jersey. I'm just talking about the typical person who may not
The
have it like
average
that where they could
person.
travel
Sure.
up to Philly
Yeah.
from New
Right.
Jersey and they stuck with their hospital. Not everybody can like come to
Hmm.
Hopkins or go to the Mayo Clinic. They are where they are, but it's unfortunate that that hospital with this incident that happened, that they're the only hospital in southern New Jersey to perform the transplant is incredible
It is incredible.
because
Yep.
that means you can't really complain and have a choice to go to another option if you
Yeah, your
wanted to.
options are limited, certainly.
Yep.
So I mean, Jared, how many hospitals in Utah that does transplants?
Well, there's the University of Utah Hospital, which is by far and away probably the most prominent hospital. But I would imagine that that's probably the best one. There may
Tamika, you
be
still there?
another
Okay.
one, but I don't know what it would be. But the University of Utah in Salt Lake City is probably the most prominent one. And I know that Steve can't hear me right now. So, but the other thing is that I've read that this incident, Tamika and Manny, I've read that this is an unprecedented event. All right, in the respected 40+ year transplant program. And this is by Dr. Reginald Glaber, Executive Vice President and Chief Clinical Officer of Virtua Health. That's who made that statement.
Oh, wow.
And so if you take the last 40 years, this doctor is saying that an unprecedented event in the respected 40-plus year transplant program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so a mistake may have been somebody's purpose or somebody's, miracle, their Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you do want to look at it in a better way, but you don't want to dismiss what happened,
Right.
and how is this the first time, or is this the first time that we're hearing about it? And I'm not saying in this hospital,
Right,
but
but in general, right.
how do you really prevent it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not the first time. But nowadays, with social media and media getting out there so fast,
the information gets out there.
Yeah, information gets out so quick. So it's probably happened before, but just nobody caught wind of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one person made an article, then all of a sudden New York Times get an article out there, so then it makes it more publicized.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Then also, how does the patient protect themselves? Because the doctor's going to cover themselves. I think it's also for the patient to protect themselves, to make sure they're getting the right organ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Tamika, I want to kind of shift gears just for a second. Something that I was thinking about. Did I talk over Jared? Is he talking?
No.
Jared's not talking.
Oh, I was reading. I can't remember. It was on Facebook. It was a post on. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Iogenic happenings, where that is medical happening, where the caregiver or the doctor messes up, and you go back to complain about it to try to get it corrected. So I say that to say, in dialysis, I've been hearing a lot of people talk. Well, I ain't gonna say a lot, but I've been hearing several patients mention that maybe the tech or the caregiver messed up on something on the patient, and they complain about a legitimate complaint, and they labeled that person a troublemaker for complaining about the mess up of what happened to them. That's starting to happen a lot.
We talked
Where
about that
if you
last
complain
night.
about a caregiver, maybe a lot of times nothing happened, or it gets swept under the rug. And if you keep on talking about something that's not right, and it's not right, then they come back and label you as a problem patient and try to get you discharged from the unit.
Right. Now, Steve, a way to combat that is when you have a verbal conversation with someone, it's going in one ear out the other. But when you write multiple letters, and when you fax the letters to the network, and when you send the letters to the unit, any letters you send have to be documented. It's a legal it's a legal document, so they have to file it. Your conversation does not have to be filed because it's in one ear and out the next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. And sometimes when they do send letters, you're right, it has to go to the network. But a lot of times when it goes to these units, as well as I know, it kind of sits on deaf ears.
It's all how they handle it. If they handle it professionally and not ghetto or a little abrasive, then things will turn around for them, because all they have to say is retaliation. That's a lawsuit right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all they have to do is say they feel like they're being harassed for retaliation because of they wrote a letter, or retaliation because they said something.
Manny, have you ever experienced anything like that when you were undergoing dialysis?
Man, my doctor was about to fire me because my phosphorus was so high for so long. I wasn't listening to his advice, and I was doing PD at home, and he's like, your phosphorus, you're going to start calcifying everything's going to turn into calcium, like everything, everything was going to turn calcified. And I was like, man, no. And he kept saying, you need to stop, or I need to start looking at putting a fistula or graft in your arm. I said, you ain't touching my arm. And this was in October. And I said, I have my kidney before I go back to hemo. I'm not going back to hemo. And he wanted to put my graft in my fistula in. And he was like, if I don't do this, I could lose. I just renewed my license. And you, because of your phosphor being so high for so long, I could lose my license.
Wow.
So he was going to drop me as a patient.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that was in like I said, end of October, in November. And then by December is when I got the call. And I said, I'm out, dude. You're done. So I was trying to be the nicest dude with him. I was like, I know you're, because he was Pakistani, and I'm Christian, right? So I was like, I know you're a realist. I told. I said, but I'm a Christian dude. I said, I believe I'm gonna have my kidney before you put me back in hemo. And he's like, oh, you believe that? I believe this, and my God won. So here we are.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I remember when we first met, you told me you tell it like it is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Hey.
So Manny, did it make you feel like maybe he didn't have your best interest at heart?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought it was like numbers. I mean, because I told myself, look, I'll get the phosphorus down, because he just kept wondering how my phosphorus was up. I said, well, I mean, I'm a Mexican dude, so beans. How are you going to take beans away from Mexican guys? It's impossible. And potatoes. I mean, that's literally my life. I mean, I was like, I can't be without beans and potatoes. So and cheese. And I just lived life to the fullest. I mean, to the end. And I called him out on it. I mean, I said, I know he knew I was going to say, not Christian. And I stuck my ground. And what was crazy is my nurse who was in the office with me, she laughed a little bit. And then when I saw her at Walmart, a few months after my transplant, or about a year after my transplant, she's like, I can't believe you said that. I was like, I meant it. And she goes, I know you did. But so he could have fired me. He could have taken me off that and had me go to another doctor, so it's possible. I mean, but every step of the way, I challenged all the doctors I had. Even now, I challenge my doctors. They said I was stoic. I said, thank you. I had to look up stoic, and I said, yes, I am stoic.
And you know what? I will continue to be stoic.
Yeah.
Just let them do anything to you because they'll think twice.
Yeah. I question everything they do. I mean, I challenge everything they tell me or whatever. I challenge them, and it gets on my wife's nerves sometimes. She hates going with me to the doctor because I make myself look like a jackass, I guess. But I don't care. I mean, it's my life.
Yeah,
but it's about you, though.
Right. It prevents them from doing just anything to you. Like you have to be your own advocate. You have to fight for your own life.
Yeah. Yep. I like my life.
Yeah.
I mean, but what about the many of other people who don't do what Manny does?
Yeah.
And
because they
just go through that cycle of not asking questions and going through the process. How do you reach those individuals, Tamika?
That's a hard one, Steve, because you have to reach them individually. Like doing shows like this, doing little in-service about them taking back their life. Not everyone's going to be on board.
Right.
Not everyone wants to spark matches, but I'm a person that just like to light the fire. So I'm
that's good though.
And I believe that others should too. It'll save their life.
What do you think, Jared?
Absolutely. I think that, and I think they put it in a similar way that I would, is that you do have to speak your mind, and as long as you do it in a way that's professional, and so you don't come across as a troublemaker, I would think, and I would hope that the doctors and technicians, that they would respect you for saying how you feel. You know what I mean? Because there's got to be some level of mutual respect between both the dialysis patient and the technician, nurse, or doctor, if it's a nephrologist, whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know what, Jerry, you just made a point. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And right, and also as being a technician, stop taking everything personal. Realize that this is their life, so they want to know as much as they can, find out. Be willing to help them versus looking at it like they trying to know more than you.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have great techs, on my side, and I told both of you guys that they prayed for me. They would pray with me, pray for me, and literally put their hands on me and pray with me.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
So I love my techs. I mean, the nurses. I told when I found out someone's a nurse. I mean, thank you. They might not be a nurse in nephrology or a tech in dialysis. And I just say thank you. I'm alive because of a nurse. I'm alive because of a tech.
Right.
And so I know techs do their things for protocol. And doctors, they're always learning. So that's a doctor's thing, is they're always learning. And a tech has to follow protocol.
Hey guys, we've got a comment here from one of our viewers.
Tamika, so here we are now. What should we suggest to individuals who are on the transplant list watching this and they heard about this story, and maybe they may have some anxiety about being called now because maybe something like this could happen, which, like Jared said, this is what he read from the story. This is something that's unprecedented that happened in their, Jared, 30, 40 years existence. But how can we ease people's fear who may be thinking that some type of mishap, maybe not even this per se, maybe getting called and then waiting around and not getting the kidney, or just something. How can we ease fears
That one right
or
there,
anxiety?
that one is kind of rough right there, Steve. When they get the call and they begin to get anxious and feeling like they have a second chance in life and it doesn't work out. I don't know what to say to them.
Manny,
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Have you been put in that situation where they called you and you waited around and it didn't work out?
No, not that one. But when they call me, like I said, that my kidney came from, it was a designated kidney.
Sure.
But I did get the first phone call, and they said we'll call you in a day or a day and a half. We have to test it, and that's anxiety, and that 24 to 36 hours, where I called them back.
I can imagine.
And they're like, slow your roll. Where there's antibodies that we have to match and everything. And I didn't know what antibodies were. I had no idea, and us going to my wife's Christmas party in 2017, that's when they called me. And so it was the third phone call. You don't just get one phone call. There's like a few phone calls that come in to let you know to be on standby. It's a possible match. And then finally, the last call I got was, do you want the kidney? And I was like, what the heck kind of question is that? Yeah, they ask you, do you want the kidney? And I said, why do you ask that? She said, because if you say no, we go to the next person on the list. And I said, I want the kidney. So, okay. And it was like Mission Impossible. Like, okay, here's your instructions. And they gave me my instructions, and my wife and I.
Should you choose to?
Should you choose or accept? Yeah, should you choose, accept, or deny? You have 5 seconds to decide.
The delivery was
Right.
Wow.
The delivery was horrible. They could have spoke a little better than that.
No, it was 10 o'clock at night, and that's how it came. My phone was I put my phone on the speaker to be a Bluetooth speaker for the crowd, because the DJ was setting up his music, and I was like, why am I putting my phone on there if I'm waiting for a phone call? So I did, and then all of a sudden my phone starts ringing, and I was like, I gotta grab that phone call. and sure enough, it was then. So they said, "Do you want it?" This Mister is this Manuel Ramirez? Yes. Can you confirm your birthday? Yes. So I did all that stuff, and then they said that's when they said, "Do you want?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." So that's when they said, "Okay, come here." So we got there and washed up and did the whole 9 yards, and so yeah, it worked out. But if it was the opposite, I've seen people, like I said, on Facebook groups where they got the initial call, saying that we think we have a match for you. We'll give you a call later on. We're gonna check everything, and then they'll put their pray for me, and the stupid little prayer hands, which don't work. Don't do that. Please don't do that. That's so disrespectful to people. It's just disrespectful. Actually say a prayer.
Oh my
So
I
setting
love
prayers
it.
up.
I love it.
Yeah. And then later on the day you'll see somebody say, "Oh, it's not for me. I wasn't a match." And it's unfortunate, and then they have to wait again. So, it's a hard thing you just anxiety, like Steve said, you do get anxious, and there is really no way to get around it, Steve. I mean, once you're anxious, that's it. And it's rightfully so. I mean, you're
Right.
there
Oh,
and you're anxious.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
It's understandable.
I've seen patients get the call, and then
Mhm.
I've seen them walk back in the next day. I'm sorry, the next treatment.
Yeah.
And that spark that they had when they got the
Mhm.
call was like a baby being born. It was such a blissful moment. But then to see them walk back in
The next day,
broke my heart because
yeah.
nothing I could say to
Yeah.
console them. And the
Mhm.
anger that they had, they wanted to be left alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that many times too, Tamika.
And it's unfortunate, but the way I've seen 2 rejections I've gone through myself,
Mhm.
and I've had to do plasmapheresis, and I've had to do all these different treatments, and those treatments are horrible, but I've lived through them, and I'm still here, going on my second year. Like I said, in 4 days it'd be my second year. So if those people had received those kidneys that they were probably gonna survive with,
Mhm.
it would have been more painful, or more issues on them to try to keep that kidney alive than it is to stay on dialysis until they find a better match with better antibodies, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So that's where I said I think the hospitals care about their ratings. So if the antibodies don't match, then they don't want to put it inside of you. They'd rather toss it, junk, throw it away because it's not any good, or find somebody that's older in age that has similar antibodies because they've gone through all the sicknesses that someone else
Okay.
around the age has gone through as well. So
Right.
then they'll say, okay, this 85-year-old mom or grandmother, we'll give it to her because statistically she'll be around for like another 10 years or 15 years,
Mhm.
and this donation should last another 10 years, and then her final years she'll be on dialysis. So when I was in dialysis, I was like one of the youngest guys there. Everybody else was in their 70s, 80s, 90s, um,
Seniors. Okay.
seniors, and they wanted to know what happened to me, and I was like, high blood pressure got me, took me out. But I'm always the guy that looks at the full picture of everything, and so that's why it's a numbers game with hospitals, I believe. I mean, I saw the other day, people just throwing away kidneys and kidneys and kidneys, and hospitals throwing away kidneys. I was like, well, it'd be worse on the patient if they receive those kidneys,
True.
because to go through plasmapheresis and to go through all those treatments, the cost is high, and the rejection on the body is high, and I mean, it's just one of those things that you have to look at the full spectrum.
Mhm.
But Manny, I believe if they word
Mhm.
it a little differently, then it
Mhm.
wouldn't sound so bad that they're just throwing away kidneys. They can say they're throwing away damaged kidneys or unhealthy
Right.
kidneys.
That's true.
So,
That's true too. Yeah.
it feels
Right.
better knowing
Yeah.
that they can't use them, or they let people know why they're throwing them out. Like as far as
Yeah.
Right. There's probably a better way to
Mhm.
say that.
Um,
exactly.
Yeah.
Jared, hearing what Tamika and Manny talking about these kidneys, some being wasted, you firsthand seeing your sister-in-law dealt with a situation like a needle in a haystack. As you mentioned, it was a 1%. Um, how does that make you feel hearing that now, knowing what your sister went through to find that needle in a haystack, and you hear how some kidneys are being wasted?
Well, if they're like genuinely being wasted, then that would be infuriating. But if it's the media or maybe just somebody who's wording it wrong, I hope that's the case, that they're just phrasing it wrong, because I'd hate to see that maybe they're just not regarding kidneys well, and then all of a sudden they're throwing them away, and they could be used for somebody who could actually, be transplanted. But if it is a genuine waste, then that's horrible. If they're not holding them well, or maybe there's something where they've been held too long, and then they're bad, and that's why they're being thrown away, and for legitimate reasons, then then that makes sense, and it sounds like maybe the media maybe just putting that word out there, they're throwing them away to try to get people to get a reaction of some kind, because that's what the internet's about, right? Nowadays, of course, is trying to get a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose Tamika?
I think so, just for a second.
Yeah, okay. So Steve can't hear me, Manny. So all right. So maybe you can tell him I'm finished talking, because I don't know if you knew that.
Can you hear Jared yet, Steve, or no?
No,
I can't hear Jared.
Oh, okay.
My partner, she went off.
Yeah, he's talking right now.
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of where I stand, is that as long as they are throwing the kidneys away for legitimate reasons, then I hold no disregard and no disrespect for any of those hospitals. If there is a small percentage of them that have made mistakes, then I hope that they're found out, and I hope that they have consequences. And I'd hope that if they're sloppy enough, that they'll get caught. But I genuinely want the best for all of the kidney warriors out there. Mm-hmm. And and although I find it somewhat humorous that you talked about that with the hands, Manny, what I find, because I was advocating for my sister-in-law, what I found a little bit annoying is I love the praying. But what infuriated me a little bit is that it almost comes across sometimes when people say I'm praying for you, mm-hmm. is that they say it, okay, but then that's all they're doing, but they're not doing anything else. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, to me, if you're a person of faith, okay, you should be praying, yes, but do more than praying. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
To me, when you're ministering to somebody, you should be doing more than praying. So sometimes it almost seemed like when they said they were praying, it was almost just a blanket statement. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just a quick response.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah,
I'm rambling a little bit, but I hope that the hospitals are doing all that they can, the majority of them, and I hope that the kidney disease patients that are getting the care that they need don't get shafted in any way.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, her screen went black for me. Can you see Tamika?
Oh, yeah, I see Tamika now.
Okay,
I hear Tamika.
Right.
Steve. I see all three of you guys. Hear all you three guys.
All right. I can only hear you, Manny. I can hear Steve, too, but he can't see me. Anyway.
So Tamika's back on.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back, Tamika.
Thank you. Mother Nature called.
Yeah, we're actually coming down to our time.
Okay, all right.
Well, that was a quick hour.
Yeah, but
that did go fast.
I think that.
Well, Manny, I seriously enjoy having you on the broadcast. I'd love to have you as a co-host, like we talked about on Warriors Quest another time. I don't know if Wednesday nights generally work well for you, but I'd love to have you on, as a co-host one night.
Yeah, whenever you guys need me, of course, I love to help out. Just to
Sweet.
Either share my story or my side of the view or whatever, and I am point blank, and it drives everybody crazy. It's literally drive everybody crazy. But
You know what,
whatever.
Manny? Don't change. Continue being point blank because it's a
Yeah.
lot of
Well,
people
it's good to
that.
see Tamika too. I love her hair. I like what you're doing with your hair, Tamika. And I can't hear her response, so I apologize.
She said thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But, and Steve, anything else?
No, man. I appreciate you coming on and participating in this discussion. It definitely opened my eyes up from a person who been through the
I
transplant
agree.
process. So yeah, we will be bringing you back on maybe next Thursday to talk about the discussion of dating and romance and kidney disease.
Yeah.
I can't talk about dating. I can talk about romance, but not dating.
Okay, romance.
You better not talk about
That's all
dating.
part of
You
it.
All right.
Shoot.
So yeah, man. Again, thank you for definitely coming on and participating in the discussion. And if anyone else would like to join our discussion next week, please send us a DM message that you would like to participate.
Yes, I think
Cool.
next week conversation is going to be very interesting because it's going to talk about what no one talks about is
Well, it's been really good, guys. Thank you again for having me on.
Oh, hold on. Tamika's talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's gonna it's okay, honey. It's okay, Jared. It's gonna talk about basically intimacy on dialysis, like lack of it or needing help to get it. It's a conversation that's not talked about because a lot of relationships are lost because women aren't able to get wet. Excuse me, I'm just gonna say it, or
Okay.
men are unable to get up because of the medicine. So we're just going to have a candid conversation of what certain people have been through and how to go, how to get through it. Because
Sounds good.
it's like, so that's going to be very, very interesting.
I'll be on. Let me know. I'd love to jump on that one.
Okay, and also it's going to talk about toys. Like you may want a toy to use. What's the best toy to use? It's life. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So I may
There's definitely going to be an adult conversation.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You can't laugh about it though, Tamika. You got to be sincere and straight faced.
No, I mean I can't be sincere.
Oh, Tamika starts laughing.
No, wait a second. No, because I can't do it if I have like a dildo in my hand trying to say, well, you guys try this. That's what I'm laughing because to have a sexologist come on the show and talk, I'm laughing because it's like, how am I going to keep a straight face if it's a penis being waved around on the screen?
I can't hear her, but I can see her screen from my phone. I can just
She's
see her
turning red.
laughing.
She's blushing.
So no, it's not laughing at the fact. It's just touching on a topic that's not widely talked about.
Yeah.
But just having maybe
I can see her doing this.
So yeah. But yeah, just trying to shed light and help others out with a little intimacy.
All right. Well, I'd love to be on here with you guys. So just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There goes Steve's back on again.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, Tamika, I got to end. I got a guy downstairs in my basement.
All right.
He's painting my mural on the wall.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I want to take a picture and send it to you.
Okay, yes, do that. So thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, Manny, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you. We definitely look forward to having you on next week. Jared,
alrighty.
As always, thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Host of the hit show Warriors Quest every Wednesday, 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you, man.
You're welcome.
So
thank you both.
Yep. Hey, Tamika, this was a great show.
It was. It was.
And I lost Jared. This normally happens with Be Live, where the someone's face gets blocked out. I can't hear him or can't see him, but the audience and other people are still able to see him.
Yes, it's not a perfect platform, but it's
Yeah.
what we have to use to help us get the message out. So,
oh, absolutely, absolutely. So this was an awesome show. Look forward to next week, to that show and
oh gosh,
and many shows after that.
yes. This is going to be an exciting year for us, Steve. So many different changes. You know. So yes. So if anyone have any topics that you guys want to talk about, let us know and we'll talk about them. All right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week, same station, same time. Until then, have a great week, Tamika. Talk with you soon. Have a great night.
Yes. And remember, your kidneys matter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right.
Good night, Steve. Good night, y'all.